I'm Andre Correa, and this is Andre Correa Now, a show about the art of filmmaking, the craft behind it, and the technologies that make it all possible. I was in the middle of working on, I was gonna start shooting a video about the Mavic Air 2 when I found out that Sony had just released the A7C. And that camera really sparked my interest for a few reasons. So first, let's start by looking at what this camera is and why it is similar to the A7 III, but yet different in some ways. So the A7C is a full-frame camera getting compact format. You get the advantages of having a smaller body, it's lighter. I actually always liked the rangefinder format. You know, I know it's not a big deal, but when you have the camera on a shoulder rig, you can actually line up with your eye much better, I think. So I always like that. So I'm glad that now there's a full frame version of this full rangefinder style camera, which I think it's pretty nice. But basically, and I have notes here because again, unscripted, we have essentially the same camera as the A7 III with some differences. Now, when I say the same camera as the A7 III, we're looking at the same exact sensor, no record limit, same low light performance, perhaps even a little bit better. Some other fellow YouTubers have done videos about that already. I'm sure you've seen it. So you have essentially a A7 III version 2. But where things get interesting, actually, is a few things. First of all, the flip-out screen is kind of a big deal. You know, I still have my Canon, I forgot what it's called, T6i. Still have my Canon T6i. And one of the things I love about the little camera is because it has a flippy screen. And up until now, no other Sony camera has that screen except for the very expensive and capable A7S III. So it's nice to see a lower price camera with that screen because it does make a big difference, especially when you're composing shots up high or something down low. It helps. The other huge thing which makes a lot of a difference is one of the things that made me buy the A6600 right away when it came out. Right now, I am filming on the A6600, and there's a monitor to my right. And even though the monitor is attached, the screen on the A6600 doesn't go black, and face tracking and eye detection still works. This is a recent development for Sony. The A6400, if I do the same setup as here, the screen will go black and I will lose face tracking. So I really like that Sony has put that in the A7C because that's one of the features that, you know, it's one of those little things that really make a big difference, especially in situations when you are backlit or in situations when you're, for example, holding something. You don't lose focus because it's picking up my face, not the phone. If this was the other camera, it would certainly pick up the phone and then lose my face, and that's not what I want. The other nice thing that this camera, the A7C, has, which kind of inherited from the A7S III, is the fine-tune capability on the autofocus system. So now you can actually go into the system and fine-tune it so that you know what I mean, like this. Before it used to be fast, medium, and slow. Now I think there's 7 other settings that you can work with, and that's a big deal. Because one of the things that Canon had over Sony for a long time was an autofocus system, and now Sony has clearly overpassed Canon. I know Canon people just hating me right now, but that's okay. I love you guys. So What else? What else? What else? Okay, so one of the things that I didn't like too much and kind of makes me a little concerned about this camera is the fact that you kind of lose, you lose your function buttons. And I kind of like my function buttons. You get like a function dial now in the back. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe it's not going to be a big deal once you start using it, because I always map the buttons so that I have the picture profiles, the white balance, IBIS, turning it on and off sometimes. By the way, if you're doing like sometimes if you're doing not gimbal movements, but like some precise motion control or tripod movements, sometimes they're gonna need to turn off the image stabilization on the Sony system. Just a tip. But what was I talking about again? I don't know, I forgot. See, this is what happens when you don't have a script. Awful. Custom dial. I don't know about the custom dial. I guess it's one of those things that we have to see. If you're able to put all the things there and you can just scroll through, I guess it's not gonna be a big deal. It might even be faster. So it's one of those things I'm gonna have to wait and see. Talk about the little things that make this camera appealing. On the A6000 series, when you have this rangefinder setup that I like, the card is in the same compartment as the battery. And that's kind of a pain. With the other cameras, the card is on the side. And that is also the case with the A7C. The card is on the side, which is really nice. It's just like one of those little things, but those little things make the camera a lot usable. And I think that's been the thing with Sony, right, for a while. The difference between the A6600 and the A6400 is mainly, slightly improved autofocus and the ability now to use an external monitor without losing the autofocus capabilities. So you get full autofocus capability on the A6600 if you have an external monitor, again, like I have now. But the thing is, that was just an incremental change from the A6400. It wasn't night and day, but it made the camera a lot more usable. It made it so that I wanted to get the A6600 immediately when it came out, even though I knew that the image quality is going to be kind of the same. And I think that also brings a really good point. Let's talk about image quality. Image quality is going to be the same as the A7 III, and from what I can see, it wouldn't be hard at all to color match the A7C with the A6600 or the A6400. They seem to use very close color sciences. So you're not getting a bump in image quality, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. These cameras are very good. I don't have a problem with the image quality that I get out of the A6000 series at all. In fact, I really like it. It all depends on how you expose, how you compose, the additional items that you have. Like, are you shooting with the Pro Mist filter? That these little things make a big difference. Yeah, you're not gonna get the 10-bit that you get from the A7S III, and yeah, I know I don't know. For me, it's not that much of a big deal. In fact, if push came to shove, I would get, if I had $3,500 to spend, if I had $3,700 to spend, or thereabouts, I would almost prefer to buy two A7Cs than one A7S III. Now, you can say, why would you need two? Well, because sometimes it's good to have a second angle. And if you're doing documentary work, and I think these cameras can be used for documentary work with no problem at all. I think the image quality is fine. If you're not going to be doing crazy color grading, if you have the proper filters, you can get really solid images out of these. And I'm talking about the A6000 series. So if you have an A7 III or now the A7 A7C, you're gonna be fine. And having the ability to do this, especially in the interview setup, it's really nice. So, you know, if you have the budget to get, if you have $3,500 and you want to get the best setup possible for interviews and things like that, I would consider spending that money in a second body. The other thing is, if you only have $3,500 to spend, also you should budget for lights, microphone, you know, all the other things. Because if you just have the A7S III and have no lights, no mic, no nothing, I think somebody with a lesser camera can get better images than you can. So that's something to think about. One of the things that I wish the A7C had was the menu system from the A7S III. But I think that might be because the A7S III has a different chip. So the computer inside would be very different. If you were looking at the A7III, I wouldn't look at it anymore. I would get the A7C, because the benefits that you get, in my opinion, far outweigh the only few things they would lose with the A7III, which again, mainly we're talking about buttons and things like that. The battery is the same. Every way in which it would matter, it's the same camera. And plus you get some additional benefits like the flippy screen, the better autofocus system, that kind of stuff. Also, no record limit. I was actually doing an interview the other day, and I had all three cameras going at the same time. I have the A6400, the A6500, and the A6600. And the A6500 stopped recording. And because it was like the camera that was on this angle, I didn't see it. So I kind of lost a part of it from this angle because the A6500 stopped after the 30-minute limit. And there is no warning. It just stops. It doesn't make noise saying, it doesn't beep or anything. It just dies out. So having these cameras now not have a record limit, it's a huge thing. But enough about what I think. What do you think? Would you buy the A7C? Is it just old technology repackaged? And if so, is it worth it for the incremental changes, the incremental benefits that it offers? I think so, but let me know what you think. Also, if you want to get one, the links will be in the description below. They are affiliate links, and when you buy them, you'll be at no cost to you supporting the growth of this channel. But that's going to be it for me today. I am Andre Correa. This was Andre Correa Now Unscripted. So make sure you subscribe for the scripted one next time, and I will catch you when I catch you.